Friends, life flows in a perfect rhythm, and every moment carries with it the seed of your highest good. Yet so often, we find ourselves tangled in the thorns of anger, resentment, and conflict, forgetting that the mind is the builder of our outer world. When insulted, when provoked, when the currents of human disagreement rise around us, the instinct may be to retaliate, to defend, to lash out. But consider this: every reaction to another's negativity is like planting a seed in the fertile soil of your own consciousness. What shall grow there? Flowers of peace or weeds of bitterness? You see, the universe operates on a simple principle: like attracts like. If we meet hostility with hostility, we multiply it. If we meet anger with anger, we invite more chaos into our lives. Yet there is a path that is entirely free from struggle, a way that requires no battle, no confrontation, no strain of will against the currents of human temperament. It is not found in reasoning with the unreasonable or proving ourselves right. It is found in the art of deliberate response, in the conscious choice to remain unshaken, unprovoked, and steadfast in our inner harmony. Imagine for a moment that every insult, every harsh word, every attempt to ruffle your peace is merely a mirror reflecting back to you what does not belong to your world. It is not yours to hold, it is not yours to correct, and it is certainly not yours to internalize. The wise soul understands that to argue is to place oneself in the theater of another's illusion. To become angry is to hand over one's power to the currents of circumstance, but to step beyond, to breathe in the quiet sovereignty of your mind, is to declare without a single word that your life is under the divine guidance of wisdom and grace. And so, what is this just do this that transforms every insult into opportunity, every provocation into a teaching, and every argument into silence filled with power? It is the conscious refusal to participate in negativity. It is the subtle yet profound practice of affirming your peace, your joy, and your divine right to happiness. It is the inner declaration that no external circumstance, no careless word, no ill-considered act of another can penetrate the sanctuary of your mind unless you invite it there. By holding this truth, by living it moment to moment, the soul experiences a freedom so deep, a clarity so radiant, that it begins to magnetize circumstances and people in perfect alignment with its desires. There is a certain sweetness in life that can only be tasted when one ceases to fight shadows and begins to cultivate light. It is in this light that solutions are born, relationships heal, and obstacles dissolve as if they were never real. The power to rise above insult, to move beyond argument, and to remain untouched by anger is not learned in struggle. It is remembered as the natural inheritance of the mind that knows its own divinity. To rise above negativity is to step into a realm of conscious awareness where every thought, every word, and every feeling is acknowledged as a building block of your experience. The world, with all its turbulence, offers countless opportunities for disturbance. Yet the disturbance exists only in the mind that entertains it. When one faces insult, criticism, or unkindness, there is a natural impulse to react, to defend, to prove one's worth. But these reactions are nothing more than chains that bind the soul to the vibration of conflict. To rise above negativity is not an act of suppression, nor is it an act of denial. It is a deliberate choice to recognize that your energy, your attention, and your spirit are sacred, and that no external circumstance has the authority to invade the sanctuary of your consciousness unless you allow it. Every insult carries with it the seed of opportunity. The wise soul does not see provocation as a threat, but as a reflection of another's inner turmoil. People speak, act, and behave according to the limitations of their own thoughts, the fears of their own hearts, and the unresolved shadows within their consciousness. When you encounter negativity, it is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their perception. To rise above is to understand this distinction so clearly that the sting of insult does not reach the core of your being. You may hear harsh words, witness unkind acts, or experience injustice, Yet if your mind remains anchored in the awareness of your own divine value, the negativity glances off like water on a polished stone, leaving no residue, no trace, no disturbance. The practice of rising above negativity requires constant vigilance and gentle discipline. It begins in the mind, in the way one perceives the world. Each thought entertained is a brick in the foundation of your reality. If you dwell upon the bitterness, the criticism, the unkindness of others, you reinforce the very vibration you seek to avoid. If, however, you consciously redirect your thoughts toward understanding, compassion, and detachment, you transform every encounter into a lesson in mastery. You become a silent witness to the storm, unshaken by the winds of opinion and unaffected by the gusts of provocation. Rising above negativity is also an exercise in forgiveness, not merely forgiving others for their transgressions, but forgiving the world for its imperfections. It is an acknowledgement that the human journey is filled with limitations and that every act of unkindness is a signal of a soul in need of love, just as you yourself have needed love in moments of weakness. When you forgive without judgment, without resentment, you release the grip of negativity on your own heart. You step into a higher vibration where clarity, intuition, and joy are naturally restored. The mind that refuses to harbor insult, that does not clutch onto anger, and that refrains from argument, becomes a magnet for harmony, attracting circumstances that resonate with its elevated frequency. It is essential to remember that rising above negativity is not a passive state. It is a dynamic engagement with life that demands courage, awareness, and perseverance. It is the conscious decision to walk through a crowded, chaotic world and remain luminous, untainted by the darkness around you. It is the understanding that your response to life shapes your reality far more than the external events themselves. By choosing to remain centered, unprovoked, and aligned with the highest truth within, you assert the sovereignty of your spirit and the inviolability of your peace. In practical terms, this may manifest as a pause before reacting, a moment of breathing into the awareness of your own power, and a conscious redirecting of your focus to what is constructive, kind, and elevating. Every encounter with negativity becomes a training ground for mastery. Every provocation a test of your alignment with your true self. The more consistently you rise above, the more natural it becomes. Your mind learns the rhythm of detachment and discernment, your heart learns the art of compassion without compromise, and your spirit moves freely in the joy of unshakable inner peace. The path to rising above negativity is not a path of struggle, but a path of remembrance. It is remembering that the mind is a powerful creative instrument, that every thought shapes experience, and that nothing external can diminish your divine inheritance unless it is invited into your consciousness. To rise above is to claim your birthright of serenity, clarity, and joy, and to live as a beacon of calm strength amidst the ever-changing tides of human behavior, radiating an energy that transforms not by force, but by quiet, unyielding presence. Maintaining inner peace is the cornerstone of a life lived in alignment with truth, joy, and abundance. It is not something that comes from circumstances, approval, or external validation. It is a state cultivated within. An art of the mind that recognizes its own authority and refuses to be disturbed by the waves of the world. Every moment presents a choice: to allow the chaos, criticism, and unpredictability of life to intrude upon the calm within, or to stand firm as a sovereign being, anchored in the quiet strength of your own consciousness. Inner peace is not passive resignation, nor is it an escape from reality. It is the conscious mastery of your thoughts and emotions, the deliberate cultivation of a mind that knows its own inviolable worth. To maintain inner peace is to understand that external events, no matter how turbulent, possess power only if you give it to them. A careless word spoken by another, an injustice witnessed, a disagreement or misunderstanding, all of these can either disturb your equilibrium or serve as a reminder of your mastery over yourself. The mind that clings to insult or grievance is like a storm-tossed ship battered, and fearful. The mind that rests in peace, however, is anchored deeply in the harbor of truth, unaffected by the tempests of circumstance. It is the awareness that calmness is a choice, and that choosing peace in the face of provocation is a demonstration of spiritual strength far greater than any outward victory won through argument or retaliation. Every thought that arises in your mind has a vibration, and every vibration shapes the world you experience. When you cultivate inner peace, you create a mental atmosphere of harmony and clarity that attracts beneficial circumstances, supportive people, and effortless solutions. It is the quiet force that acts like a magnet, drawing to you the conditions that resonate with serenity rather than turmoil. In contrast, a mind disturbed by anger, fear, or resentment projects a discordant vibration, inviting conflict, misunderstanding, and disappointment. By maintaining inner peace, you consciously direct the flow of your life toward alignment with the highest possibilities, without struggle, without force, and without resistance. The practice of maintaining inner peace requires mindfulness and consistent awareness. It begins with observation, noticing when your thoughts are being pulled into agitation, frustration, or worry. It requires the courage to step back, to release the attachment to the drama of the moment, and to remind yourself that your inner calm is your greatest ally. When someone seeks to provoke you, when circumstances become challenging, or when life seems unfair, the peaceful mind responds, not with reaction, but with reflection, not with conflict, but with clarity. It understands that outer events are transient, that every situation is temporary, and that true power lies in the way you choose to navigate them. Maintaining inner peace is also an act of love toward oneself. It is the recognition that your mind, body, and spirit deserve a sanctuary, a space free from the intrusion of negativity. When you hold peace within, you protect your energy, conserve your strength, and allow your creativity, intuition, and joy to flow unhindered. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances, but become the master of your own experience. This does not mean ignoring difficulties. It means facing them with a calm, composed mind, allowing wisdom and discernment to guide every action, and refusing to be swept into reactive patterns that leave the soul depleted. There is a subtle power in maintaining inner peace, a force that is invisible yet profoundly transformative. It acts like sunlight penetrating the fog, clearing confusion, illuminating possibilities, and inspiring those around you. People respond to peace with ease, grace, and cooperation. Situations align more readily when met with calm confidence, and opportunities present themselves naturally when the mind is free from turbulence. The inner state becomes the standard, the foundation upon which every decision, interaction, and creation is based. By choosing peace over agitation, serenity over anger, and calmness over chaos, you are not merely enduring life. You are actively shaping it from a place of unshakable stability. To maintain inner peace is to live consciously, deliberately, and spiritually awake. It is the acknowledgement that your happiness, your clarity, and your vitality are not dependent on what happens outside of you, but on the unshakable center within. It is the cultivation of a mind that remains serene amid storms, a heart that radiates love despite provocation, and a spirit that moves freely in the awareness of its own divine inheritance. It is the daily practice of choosing harmony over conflict, stillness over agitation, and trust over fear, knowing that the universe responds to the vibration you hold rather than the turmoil you resist. Understanding that like attracts like is a fundamental principle of life, a truth that governs not only our relationships and circumstances, but the very flow of energy that surrounds us. Every thought, every word, every feeling emits a vibration, and the universe, in its perfect intelligence, responds to that vibration with precision. When we act in harmony, when we think in alignment with our highest good, we draw experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with that harmony. Conversely, when we harbor negativity, anger, or resentment, we unknowingly summon more of the same into our lives. Recognizing this principle is the first step toward conscious mastery, for it empowers the soul to create a life of deliberate joy, peace, and abundance, rather than one dictated by reaction and external circumstances. Every encounter with another person is an opportunity to test this law in action. When faced with anger, insult, or provocation, the immediate temptation is to respond with similar energy, yet to do so is to reinforce the vibration of conflict, to participate in the creation of more discord. By responding instead with harmony, calm, and understanding, we break the cycle of negativity. Like attracts like, and the peaceful, composed energy that we emit returns to us multiplied, often in forms and ways that surpass understanding. It is a subtle, invisible alchemy, where thought and intention mold reality, and the soul that recognizes its power is never at the mercy of outer circumstances. This principle applies not only to interactions with others, but also to the inner landscape of our own minds. Every thought entertained becomes a magnet for corresponding experiences. When the mind dwells on fear, criticism, or resentment, it signals to the universe that these vibrations are desired, and so they manifest in the outer world. When the mind dwells on love, gratitude, understanding, and compassion, it attracts circumstances and people who reflect that vibration. Thus, the conscious cultivation of harmonious thought and feeling is not merely a spiritual exercise, it is a practical method of shaping the conditions of life. The wise soul recognizes this and chooses thoughts and words with care, knowing that each is a thread in the tapestry of reality. Understanding that like attracts like also transforms our perception of challenges and opposition. When faced with difficulty, it is natural to feel frustration or fear. Yet the principle reminds us that responding with elevated energy, patience, discernment, faith, changes not only the outcome, but the nature of the experience itself. It allows the mind to operate from a place of creative intelligence rather than reactionary force. Obstacles cease to be burdens and become stepping stones. Circumstances cease to be threats and become mirrors, reflecting the vibration we hold. In this way, life becomes a dance of conscious creation, each step guided by awareness of the energetic resonance that flows from our thoughts and feelings. This understanding encourages compassion and forgiveness as well. When we recognize that negativity in others is the reflection of their inner state, it becomes easier to respond with kindness rather than anger. We understand that we are not responsible for the vibrations of others, yet we are entirely responsible for our own. By maintaining an energy that aligns with peace, understanding, and goodwill, we not only protect our own consciousness, but also influence the environment around us in subtle, transformative ways. Like attracts like, and our calm, compassionate presence can ripple outward, softening the hearts and minds of those who would otherwise bring chaos or conflict. To live in awareness of this principle is to live deliberately. It requires vigilance over thoughts, mindfulness in speech, and clarity in intention. It is the daily practice of choosing responses that elevate rather than diminish, of cultivating emotions that uplift rather than deplete. It is an inner discipline that transforms ordinary moments into acts of creation, that turns encounters with negativity into opportunities for mastery, and that builds a life of harmony from the inside out. Every choice, every thought, every reaction is a signal sent into the universe, and by consistently sending the vibration of alignment, we magnetize circumstances, people, and experiences that reflect our highest state of being. Understanding that like attracts like also instills faith in the intelligence of life. We come to realize that the universe is never random, that each circumstance is a response to our inner vibration, and that by mastering ourselves, we master the conditions of our world. It is an empowering perspective, freeing us from victimhood and placing the power of creation firmly in our own hands. It teaches us to look beyond the surface of events and words, to perceive the energetic correspondence that underlies every situation, and to act in accordance with the truth that we attract what we embody. In this way, life becomes a mirror of consciousness, and the soul that understands this principle moves with grace, wisdom, and confidence through every experience. The power of silence and non-reaction is a subtle yet profoundly transformative force in the life of a conscious soul. While the world praises the loud, the argumentative, and the confrontational, there is an invisible strength in restraint, in choosing not to engage with the energy of conflict, in holding one's peace above the clamor of opinion and provocation. This silent power is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the recognition that energy follows attention, and that by refusing to participate in negativity, one preserves the integrity of the mind, the clarity of thought, and the vitality of the spirit. Those who master the art of non-reaction discover that their influence becomes greater precisely because it is unseen, subtle, and unassailable by circumstance or human frailty. The silent response carries with it a magnetic quality. While argument and anger often escalate a situation, silence diffuses it, creating a space where clarity can emerge. The mind that remains unshaken communicates a message far stronger than words ever could, that its peace is inviolable, that its power is inherent, and that it will not be drawn into discord. In this space of quiet authority, the energy of the situation is transformed. The provoker, the critic, the adversary, those who might have hoped to disturb the mind's harmony, find no foothold, no opportunity to manipulate, and no resistance to challenge. It is in this calm, in this deliberate non-engagement, that one exercises true spiritual sovereignty, demonstrating strength without aggression, influence without force, and wisdom without argument. To cultivate this silent power requires practice and awareness. The first step is recognizing the habitual patterns of reaction within oneself. Often, the mind is conditioned to defend, to justify, to retaliate, and even to argue for validation. Awareness of these patterns allows the conscious soul to pause before responding, to observe the provocation without judgment, and to choose the higher course of peace. This pause is not empty. It is filled with quiet strength, with the understanding that power resides not in vocal confrontation, but in the maintenance of one's inner equilibrium. Every choice to remain silent in the face of provocation strengthens the mind's capacity for control, discernment, and energetic clarity. The practice of non-reaction also fosters emotional freedom. Anger, resentment, and argument create chains that bind the soul to circumstances that no longer serve it. By refusing to participate, one liberates oneself from the weight of others' negativity. The mind that remains silent in the face of insult or criticism does not suppress emotion. Rather, it redirects attention toward understanding, insight, and higher vibration. It is an act of self-respect and self-preservation, a recognition that the energy spent on conflict is energy stolen from creation, joy, and alignment with divine purpose. Silent power is further amplified by the awareness that words often hold less influence than the state of consciousness behind them. One can speak at length and fail to impact a heart, while one who radiates calm, composed energy can transform situations without uttering a single word. The world responds to vibration first and form second. By holding a state of centeredness, one communicates a truth that transcends argument, logic, and persuasion. It is a power that moves quietly, invisibly, and irrevocably, touching minds and hearts in ways that force, aggression, and loudness never could. In practical terms, the cultivation of silent power requires daily commitment. It is observed in small interactions as well as in major conflicts, in moments of mild provocation, as well as in crises that could otherwise disrupt the mind's equilibrium. Each time one chooses non-reaction over argument, one strengthens the invisible cord of influence that binds intention to outcome. Life becomes less about confrontation and more about alignment. It becomes even less about provocation and more about alignment. Situations resolve more smoothly, people respond with greater openness, and the soul moves through life with a grace that is both protective and magnetic. To exercise this silent power is also to live in trust. It is a trust in the intelligence of life, a trust that circumstances will unfold in accordance with higher truth, and a trust that one's inner strength and clarity are sufficient to meet every challenge. It is a conscious commitment to refuse to surrender energy to conflict, to remain sovereign in mind and heart, and to allow the wisdom of stillness to guide every act. The soul that embodies this power discovers that the world bends in subtle ways to honor composure, that resistance is transformed into cooperation, and that influence is amplified through presence rather than argument. It is a mastery of energy, a victory of consciousness, and a demonstration of the profound truth that the most potent force in life is the unshakable serenity of a mind aligned with its own divine essence. The conscious choice to align one's life with what is desired rather than what provokes is the essence of deliberate creation. Every individual possesses the power to determine the quality of their experience, and this power resides in the decisions made moment by moment. Life does not impose upon the soul. Rather, it mirrors the inner state of consciousness. When one chooses to focus on anger, resentment, or argument, the universe responds by multiplying those vibrations, reinforcing patterns of struggle and dissatisfaction. Conversely, when one chooses thoughts, feelings, and actions that reflect peace, joy, and clarity, the external world rearranges itself in harmony with that alignment. The conscious choice to cultivate what serves the highest good is not a passive exercise. It is an active, deliberate practice of shaping reality through the mastery of thought, emotion, and intention. To make this choice is to recognize the responsibility inherent in personal power. No one else controls the vibration that defines your life. The opinions, judgments, and behaviors of others have no inherent authority over your experience unless you invite them into your mind. By understanding this truth, the conscious soul steps away from the cycle of reaction and surrender, embracing a posture of creative authority. Every thought entertained, every word spoken, every decision enacted is a deliberate signal to the universe of what is desired. By consistently choosing alignment over provocation, one builds a life that reflects joy, fulfillment, and harmony, rather than conflict, frustration, and limitation. The power of conscious choice is reinforced by awareness of the subtleties of thought. Often, the mind drifts into patterns of automatic reaction, entertaining ideas and emotions that reinforce habitual negativity. It may linger on perceived slights, replay arguments, or nurture resentment. Each of these thoughts, no matter how fleeting, is a signal sent into the universe that attracts more of the same energy. Choosing consciously means pausing before these automatic reactions, recognizing them for what they are, reflections of habit rather than truth, and redirecting attention toward constructive, elevating, and harmonious thought. It is a mental practice that gradually rewires perception, training the mind to favor alignment with higher outcomes, rather than indulgence in the drama of provocation. This conscious alignment extends beyond thought to include action. Every act, no matter how small, communicates a vibration that reinforces either harmony or discord. The deliberate choice to act from clarity rather than reaction, from intention rather than compulsion, strengthens the influence of the mind over circumstance. Even in situations that appear challenging, difficult, or unfair, the conscious soul chooses responses that preserve inner peace, demonstrate integrity, and foster cooperation rather than conflict. This choice amplifies power, enabling circumstances to shift naturally in favor of desired outcomes and transforming obstacles into opportunities for demonstration of mastery. Equally important is the recognition that this choice is a continuous practice. Life presents an infinite series of moments, each offering a decision point, each providing the opportunity to affirm either alignment or provocation. The mastery of conscious choice lies in consistency, in the repeated commitment to favor peace, joy, and harmony over anger, argument, or resentment. Over time, this consistent practice creates a life that flows effortlessly, where challenges are met with composure, relationships thrive in mutual respect, and circumstances are drawn in perfect accordance with the soul's vision. The conscious choice to align with desired outcomes also cultivates a heightened awareness of responsibility for one's own vibration. It fosters an understanding that happiness, clarity, and success are not contingent on external validation, circumstances, or the behavior of others. Instead, they emerge from the deliberate cultivation of thoughts, feelings, and intentions that correspond with the highest good. In choosing consciously, the mind becomes a fertile garden, carefully tended with thoughts of faith, gratitude, and positive expectation, while weeds of negativity, resentment, and complaint are gently removed before they take root. This principle also encourages trust in the invisible laws of the universe. By making conscious choices in thought, word, and deed, the soul aligns with the natural flow of life, allowing circumstances to organize themselves in accordance with its vibration. It is a partnership between human intention and universal intelligence, a dynamic interplay where conscious choice acts as the guiding force, and the universe responds in perfect measure. The more consistently one chooses alignment over provocation, the more natural the experience of effortless creation becomes. Life ceases to feel reactive or chaotic, and instead unfolds as a harmonious reflection of deliberate, conscious thought, demonstrating the profound truth that the power to shape existence resides not in external events, but in the deliberate choices of a mind attuned to its own highest good.